This happened a few months ago, but I still think about it almost every day. I go to a pretty average public high school in Pennsylvania, big brick building, bad cafeteria food, the usual. I'm a junior, 17, and I'm not really into drama or ghost stories or anything like that. I like things that make sense. I'm a pretty logical person. But something happened that I still can't explain. It started on a Thursday afternoon. I had stayed late after school to retake a geometry quiz. The halls were mostly empty except for the janitor and maybe a few teachers. I finished the quiz, turned it in, and was heading toward the back exit by the old science wing, the part of the school nobody really uses anymore. That wing always creeped me out a little. Half the rooms are locked, and the lights flicker even when they're on. There's one room, room 3B, that's completely boarded up. Like, actual wooden boards nailed over the door. No one ever talks about it. I asked a teacher once and she just said it's out of use. Anyway, as I was walking by that hallway, I heard a phone ringing. Not a cell phone. Not a school office phone. It sounded older. Like one of those rotary phones your grandma might still have. That loud, metallic ring. It echoed down the hallway and made me freeze. I looked around. No one. The janitor's cart was at the other end, but he wasn't there. The ringing kept going. Curiosity got the better of me. I followed the sound past a row of lockers and turned the corner toward 3B. That's when I saw it. There was a phone, this old beige landline phone, sitting on a metal cart outside the door to 3B. It was plugged into the wall somehow, even though there's no active landlines in that part of the school. The handset was shaking from how hard it was ringing. I don't know what came over me, but I picked it up. The ringing stopped immediately. I expected silence. Maybe a dial tone. But instead, I heard breathing. Like someone was right on the other end, not speaking, just breathing. I waited. Then I heard a voice. A whisper, barely audible. Alex. I almost dropped the phone. No one calls me Alex except my mom and, like, 2 friends. I hadn't said anything out loud. There's no way anyone could know I was the one holding the phone. I hung up and backed away so fast I knocked the cart over. By the time I got out of that hallway, my heart was pounding so hard I thought I might throw up. I didn't tell anyone at first. I just went home, laid on my bed, and stared at the ceiling for like an hour. I convinced myself it was a prank. Maybe some weird tech the seniors rigged up to mess with people. Maybe I imagined the voice. Maybe I misheard. But then. The next day at school, the phone was gone. Like it had never been there. The cart, the cord, the plug, all gone. The hallway looked totally normal. But here's the thing. That night, around 1:17 a.m., my house phone rang. We haven't used it in years. I didn't pick up. But the caller ID said. Room 3B. After that 1:17 a.m. call from Room 3B, I couldn't sleep. I just stared at the blinking red light on the landline until the sun came up. I didn't tell my parents, they'd just assume it was a prank or a glitch. But something about it felt targeted. I wanted to drop it, I really did. But the curiosity wouldn't let go. I had questions. Why was there a working phone outside a sealed-off classroom? How did it know my name? And why the hell was it calling my house? The next morning at school, I cornered my friend Josh before first period. He's into weird Reddit threads and urban legends, so I figured if anyone would have heard something, it'd be him. I told him everything. The phone, the whisper, the name, the late-night call. He didn't laugh. He just kind of nodded slowly. Dude, you shouldn't mess with that room, he said. There's stories. What kind of stories? He hesitated. There was a kid, like years ago. His name was Evan something, I think. His sister goes here now, Amanda Walsh. He used to tell people stuff was happening in 3B. Like, that he heard voices. Saw lights through the cracks. All that creepy horror movie crap. Everyone thought he was messing around, until he went missing. I blinked. He went missing. Josh nodded. They said he ran away, but there were a bunch of rumors. That he locked himself in 3B. That someone locked him in. That he never left. Why didn't the school, investigate? They did. Cops came. Room was empty. No sign of him. Just scorch marks on the floor and a busted speaker. That stopped me cold. Scorch marks. Josh shrugged. I dunno, man. That's what someone said on a forum, 2 years ago. Could be BS. But Amanda doesn't talk about it. At all. Don't bring it up around her. Of course, that made me want to talk to her even more. I waited until lunch. Amanda was sitting with her usual group, earbuds in, scrolling her phone. I walked over, awkward as hell, and asked if I could talk to her for a second. She looked annoyed but stood up. What? She asked. I kept my voice low. This is gonna sound crazy, but I think something weird is going on with room 3B. Her face changed immediately. Like someone flipped a switch. She looked around to make sure no one was listening and then leaned in. Don't say that out loud. I didn't know what to say. You think you're the first person that room's messed with, she said. You're not. But you'll be next if you keep poking around. I tried to ask more, but she just shook her head and walked away, fast. That night, I tried to forget about it. I put my phone on silent, unplugged the house landline, and forced myself to sleep. But at exactly 1:17 a.m., again, my cell buzzed. Unknown number. No caller ID. I answered without thinking. Static. Then. You were told not to ask. Click. I barely slept after that call. Whoever, whatever, was contacting me, it knew exactly when I'd pick up. It knew when I was trying to ignore it. And worse, it knew I wasn't going to stop looking. I tried acting normal the next day at school, but I was exhausted. Amanda avoided me like the plague. Josh was weirdly quiet too, like he regretted telling me anything. I started to think maybe this was just one long, messed up prank. But then something happened that I can't explain. Sixth period was cancelled because our teacher was out sick, so I decided to kill time in the library. I wasn't planning to dig into this again, but my brain just went there on its own. I searched Roosevelt High Room 3B, expecting nothing. There wasn't much. No news articles, no photos. Just one thread on an old local forum from 2013. It was mostly dead links and deleted posts, but one comment stood out. Someone named S.Walsh17 wrote. They told me he ran away, but I saw the door. I saw what was written. 3B wasn't locked. It was waiting. S. Walsh. Evan's last name was Walsh. Amanda's last name is Walsh. I felt a chill in my chest. This wasn't just gossip. Something happened back then, and someone tried to talk about it. But that thread? It was closed. Archived. No replies allowed. Like someone didn't want it to spread. Later that day, I was walking past the front office when I noticed the clipboard they use for room access logs, basically a sign-out sheet for custodians and substitute teachers. It was sitting out on the front desk while the receptionist was helping someone. I pretended to tie my shoe next to the desk and casually glanced at the sheet. There it was. Clear as day. Room, 3B. Date, yesterday. Time, 4:12 p.m. Signature, S. Walsh. I swear, my blood ran cold. It wasn't possible. Evan had disappeared years ago. Amanda said her family doesn't talk about it. And yet, someone using his name had signed into a room that officially doesn't even exist anymore. I took a photo of the clipboard when no one was looking. I still have it. The signature is real. I showed it to Josh later and he just stared at it. I think you need to stop, he said quietly. Whatever this is, it's been sleeping. You're waking it up. That night, I didn't get any calls. At first I thought that meant it was over. Then I checked my voicemail. There was one new message. Left at 1:17 a.m. I put in my earbuds and hit play. It was just breathing at first. Then the sound of something metallic dragging across the floor. And finally, the voice. This time it wasn't whispering. It was screaming. Let me out. I didn't sleep that night. I just laid there, phone clutched in my hand, heart racing. I played that voicemail over and over. It sounded real, like someone was actually trapped somewhere. The dragging noise, the raw panic in the scream, it didn't feel like a prank. It felt like someone was begging. The next day, I showed the voicemail to Josh. He only listened once before shaking his head. Nope. I'm out. Whatever this is, man, you need to delete that and move on. I can't, I said. That voice, it sounded real. What if someone's seriously stuck in there? Stuck in what? A sealed room from the 90s. You think someone's been living behind boarded-up doors for 10 years and just happens to have a phone connection? He had a point. But something deep down, something instinctive, told me this wasn't about logic. That afternoon, after school, I went back to the hallway where I'd first seen the phone. It was quiet. Same flickering lights, same dusty lockers. But this time, I noticed something I'd missed before. The bottom corner of the wooden boards on room 3B's door was cracked. Like someone had tried to pry them loose. I looked around. No teachers. No janitors. No cameras in that wing. I grabbed a nearby fire extinguisher and gently, quietly, started chipping away at the crack in the boards. It didn't take much. Most of the wood was rotted through. After a few minutes, I was able to pry the main plank loose just enough to see through the glass window in the door. What I saw inside shouldn't have been possible. The room looked untouched. Not dusty, not decaying. The overhead lights were on. There were desks, papers, an old projector cart, like someone had just walked out 10 minutes ago. And right in the middle of the room, on top of the teacher's desk, was that same beige phone. Sitting there. Waiting. And then it rang. I stepped back, heart thudding. The sound was muffled by the door but unmistakable. It was the exact same metallic ring I'd heard before. I don't know what came over me. I tried the handle. It turned. The door was unlocked. The moment I stepped in, the air changed. Warmer. Still. It didn't smell like an abandoned room, no mold, no dust, just old paper and cleaning supplies. The phone was still ringing. I picked it up. Click. Silence. Then the voice. You came. It sounded different this time. Calmer. Almost pleased. I'm listening, I said, my throat dry. There was a pause. Thank you. Click. The line went dead. I turned to leave. That's when I saw it, on the whiteboard behind the desk. I swear, it wasn't there when I walked in. Written in dry erase marker, freshly scrawled. He was here at 1:17. I stood frozen in that classroom, staring at the whiteboard. He was here at 1:17. That time, 1:17 a.m., kept coming back like a curse. The phone calls. The voicemail. And now this message, written in fresh black marker, in a classroom that hadn't been used in over a decade. I didn't hear the door shut behind me. But I felt it. The air shifted again, just slightly, like a soft pressure closing in. I turned around and tried the handle. It didn't budge. Locked. Panic hit me hard. I tried jiggling the knob, shoulder-checking the door, even prying it with my student ID. Nothing. The lights above flickered, but didn't go out. Instead, they dimmed, as if something was draining the power, slowly. And then, the hum. That awful, low-frequency hum. I don't know if it was coming from the lights, the walls, or the phone, but it felt like it was inside my head. I backed away from the door. The phone was still on the desk, silent. I didn't want to touch it again. I didn't want to hear him. But then it rang anyway. One sharp burring, and stopped. No repeat. No second ring. Just one. Then silence. I ran to the windows, sealed. Painted shut. No way out. I was about to scream for help when the door handle clicked, on its own, and slowly turned. I didn't wait. I ran. Back out into the hallway, heart pounding, legs shaking. I didn't stop until I was outside the building, gasping in the cold air behind the school gym. Josh found me sitting there 20 minutes later. I must have looked like hell. He didn't even ask what happened. Just sat next to me and handed me a water bottle. Finally, I told him everything. The door. The room. The board. The phone. Being locked in. The single ring. And then I showed him the photo I'd taken right before I ran, a quick snap of the whiteboard with the message. He stared at it for a long time. "I've seen this before," he finally said. "What do you mean?" "There was this post online a couple years back. I think it got deleted, but I saved a screenshot. It was from some guy who claimed his brother went missing in the old building of his high school. The last thing they found was a classroom with a whiteboard that said the exact same thing: he was here at 117. Different state. Different school. Same message." Josh nodded. I thought it was creepypasta crap. But now. I don't know, man. I didn't sleep again that night. I didn't even try. I kept every light in my room on. Kept my phone on airplane mode. Disconnected the landline. At exactly 1:17 a.m., my TV turned on by itself. Just static. And in the static, for less than a second, I swear I saw a face. A boy's face. Looking straight at me. I didn't tell anyone about the TV. Not because I didn't want to, because I couldn't. I knew exactly how insane it sounded. Hey, my TV turned on at 1:17 and a ghost kid showed up in the static. Even Josh would have thought I finally cracked. But I know what I saw. And the worst part? He looked familiar. Not someone I knew personally, but there was something about his face. Pale, a little too thin, dark hair, wide eyes. Almost like one of those missing photos you see on milk cartons in old movies. It burned into my brain. I spent the next day walking through school like a zombie. I avoided the old wing completely. Didn't even look in that direction. I wasn't ready to go back. Not yet. Then, during lunch, Josh slid into the seat across from me and dropped something on the table, a little black box with a wire and a dial. "What's this?" "FM scanner," he said. "Found it in my dad's garage. It's like a radio, but it picks up weird frequencies too. Police bands, static channels, junk like that. I figured if the phone and the TV are acting like transmitters, maybe there's a signal." I didn't really believe it would work, but I didn't have any better ideas. That night, we met up behind the school near the back entrance. He brought his portable speaker, the scanner, and a flashlight. We sat behind the dumpsters, trying to stay out of sight. Josh turned the dial slowly, one frequency at a time. Mostly static, sometimes snippets of music or talk radio. Then, At exactly 103.7 FM, the speaker cracked, glitched, and went completely silent. We looked at each other. Then the sound came. Not music. Not voices. Tapping. 3 short taps. Then a pause. Then 2 long ones. Then more taps. It sounded almost rhythmic. Josh pulled out his phone and opened a Morse code translator. Wait. I think it's spelling something. We listened, writing it down as it came through. Am I here? Am I here? Josh looked at me. Dude. The tapping continued. I am here. I am here. Then. HLPME. Help me. I could barely breathe. Josh turned the dial slightly, and the signal vanished. Just static again. We sat there in silence for a minute. Then Josh finally said, whatever this is, it's not just in the room. It's broadcasting. I nodded. I didn't know what to say. Every part of my brain was telling me this couldn't be real. But the messages, the calls, the locked room, the voice, it all pointed to something trapped. Or, someone. Back at home, I plugged in the scanner and left it tuned to 103.7 while I tried to sleep. I laid in bed, eyes wide open, barely blinking. At 1:17 a.m. on the dot, the speaker crackled. And through the static, I heard something new. A boy's voice. Not a whisper. Not screaming. Just, tired. Alex, please. He wants to trade. I didn't know what to do with what I heard that night. He wants to trade. What does that even mean? Trade what? With who? I didn't sleep again, that should go without saying by now. I just lay in the dark, staring at the glowing red dial on the radio scanner like it was going to give me more answers. It didn't. I replayed that voice over and over in my head. It didn't sound threatening. Just exhausted. Like the voice of someone who'd been calling out for so long that they weren't even sure anyone was still listening. The next day, I decided I couldn't do this alone anymore. I found Amanda outside the gym during lunch. I didn't say anything at first, just handed her my phone with the recording from the scanner. She listened. Didn't flinch. Didn't speak. Just slowly handed it back and stared off like she'd been expecting this for a long time. I think it's your brother, I said quietly. She didn't say yes. She didn't say no. She just said, he never left that room. We sat in silence for a while. Then she finally said, he used to say the school was wired wrong. That room 3B wasn't supposed to be there. That it was like, a copy. An echo. I thought he was just being weird. Until he stopped coming home. I didn't push her. But right before the bell rang, she looked at me and said one more thing. He told me once, if you ever talk to the voice on the phone, don't agree to anything. That night, I went back to room 3B alone. The hallway was even darker than I remembered. My flashlight barely lit the chipped tile floor. But when I turned the corner, the door was already open. Like it had been waiting for me. The room was quiet. Clean. No dust. Just like before. The phone sat on the teacher's desk, coiled cord neatly in place. I stepped in. The door didn't close behind me this time. But I still felt trapped. I picked up the phone before it rang. There was a moment of dead air. Then a voice. Not the whisper. Not the screaming. A calm, male voice. Almost, polite. You've heard him. I didn't say anything. You've listened. That's rare. I swallowed. Who are you? The voice chuckled. I'm just the echo. The one left behind. He wanted to leave. I let him. But someone always has to stay. My mouth went dry. Stay, where? In between, the voice said. He traded places with a shadow. Now he's in the light. But the light burns if you stay too long. What does that mean? The voice lowered. Balance must be kept. A door opens, someone walks out. But someone must stay in. Then, you're curious. That makes you a candidate. I slammed the phone down. I ran out of that room so fast I nearly tripped on the threshold. I didn't stop until I was halfway across campus. When I finally looked back, the hallway lights in the old wing were off. All of them. Except the one above room 3B. It blinked once. Then went out. After that last phone call, I told myself I was done. No more trips to the old wing. No more radios. No more investigating. If someone, something, wanted me in that room, then staying away was probably the only smart move left. I lasted 2 nights. The second night, just before 1:17 a.m., my phone buzzed with a text. No number. Just this. She's in the room. I stared at it for a full minute, my brain refusing to process. Then I called Amanda. Straight to voicemail. I texted. Nothing. That was enough. I didn't even bring a flashlight this time. I just ran, out my window, across the street, through the back field behind the school. I knew the shortcut through the side fence. I've walked that route so many times now, it felt like muscle memory. The building was locked, but the janitor sometimes leaves a side door cracked. That night, it was open. The hallway to room 3B was completely dark. Not like the lights were off, like they were dead. The only source of light was coming from the small rectangular window in the classroom door. A soft, blue-white glow. I walked up slowly. My hands were shaking. And I saw her. Amanda. Standing in the middle of the room, facing the chalkboard. Still. Like a statue. I opened the door and stepped in. Amanda. She didn't move. I said her name again, louder this time. Nothing. Then I heard a voice behind me. Not from the phone. Not from the intercom. From inside the room. She traded. I spun around. No one. But when I turned back to Amanda, she was gone. I ran to the board. On it, scrawled in thick, black handwriting. 1 in, 1 out. And then I heard it. Breathing. Not mine. Not from behind me. From under the floorboards. Slow. Heavy. Wet. And then the lights went out. I froze. Everything was pitch black. The kind of black that feels like it's pressing against your eyes. And then the phone rang. Sharp. Loud. Right next to me. I reached out blindly and grabbed the receiver. Alex, the voice said. Not the echo. Not the polite one. This one was tired. Scared. Amanda. I can't stay here, she whispered. It's not just him. There's more. It's like echoes stacked on top of each other. I don't know where I am. Time feels wrong. Static cut her off. Then the polite voice returned. Would you like to take her place? I didn't answer. Because in that moment, I felt something cold grab my wrist. Not imaginary. Not spiritual. Fingers. That hand. It was real. Cold, clammy fingers wrapped around my wrist like they'd been waiting just under the surface. I yanked back hard and stumbled into the desk behind me, knocking the phone off its cradle. The lights flickered on for half a second, just long enough for me to see what was under the floor. A hand. No arm. No body. Just a hand, sticking up through the warped floorboards, fingers clawing at the air like it had been reaching for something, or someone, for a long, long time. And then it was gone. Like it had sunk straight into the floor. I didn't stay long enough to find out if it would come back. I ran. This time, the door didn't resist. It flew open and I bolted down the hallway, past the lockers, past the smell of old paper and floor wax, all the way to the emergency exit. I don't even remember how I got home. I just remember locking my bedroom door and sitting on my bed, breathing like I'd just outrun death. Which, in a way, maybe I had. I didn't go to school the next day. I couldn't. I kept replaying Amanda's voice in my head, scared, panicked, trapped. She hadn't just been pulled into room 3B. She'd been taken somewhere deeper. Like the room wasn't just a room, it was an entry point. A thin place between here and whatever's on the other side. But that also meant one thing. If she could speak to me through the phone, I could maybe reach her back. I called Josh. I told him everything. He didn't say much, just listened. Then, when I was done, he said, "You're going back, aren't you?" "Yeah," I said. "But not to give myself up. I think I can break the loop." "What loop?" I hesitated. "I think it's been happening for years. Someone disappears, someone else finds the room, then they disappear. And the cycle repeats. One in, one out." Josh was quiet. Then he said, "If you don't come back, I'm burning that room to the ground." That night, I brought everything, my phone, the radio scanner, a crowbar, and a printed blueprint of the school I found on an archived website. It was old, probably from the early 90s, but it showed something weird. Room 3B wasn't originally a classroom. It was a storage vault. Heavy insulation. Reinforced concrete. One entrance, no windows. Which means what I'd seen, the lights, the desks, the cleanliness, wasn't just strange. It was wrong. I snuck in through the side door around midnight. I didn't even try to be quiet. When I got to the room, the door was already open. Inside, the lights were off. The phone glowed faintly green on the desk. I stepped inside and shut the door behind me. I dialed 117 on the rotary. The phone rang once, and someone picked up. Not Amanda. Not the echo. Evan. "Who are you?" I asked. The voice was faint. "I was first. Did you trade places?" "Yes." "For what?" He didn't answer. But the air around me grew heavier, like the whole room was breathing. Then Amanda's voice came through again, distant, like a call on speakerphone. "Don't agree. Whatever he offers, don't take it." And then the polite voice returned. "You've brought the key," it said calmly. "What key?" "You. You're the key." And then the walls began to hum, that low frequency again, like pressure building behind drywall. The air tasted metallic. I looked at the desk. There was a second phone now. Identical. 2 handsets. 2 choices. 2 phones. Sitting side by side on the desk in that impossible room. One of them was softly glowing green, the other a dim, pulsing red. Like it was alive, like it was waiting. I knew, somehow, that choosing one would change everything. The room was still humming, and the temperature kept dropping. My breath came out in visible clouds. The voice came back, polite and calm as ever. "Pick one. Let her go." I stared at the glowing red phone. Amanda was still out there, trapped in whatever place this room led to, and I believed now more than ever that she wasn't the only one. Evan. Maybe more. Too many voices. Too many echoes. I reached toward the red phone. But then I remembered what she said. Don't agree to anything. So I stopped. Instead, I stepped back and pulled the crowbar from my backpack. I'm not playing, I said out loud, not even sure who I was talking to anymore. No trade. No deal. No more games. I lifted the crowbar, and smashed the red phone. The room screamed. Not a sound, a pressure, like all the air had been sucked out and replaced with white noise and rage. The walls flickered like bad video. The floor rippled under my feet like I was standing on water. And then the second phone started ringing. Brrrring. Over and over. Desperate. I picked it up. Alex, it was Amanda's voice, clear this time, close. Not distant. Not staticky. It's working. The door, I can see light. The connection broke with a sound like metal snapping. The lights exploded. Literally. Glass rained down as sparks hit the desk and the hum grew deafening. I turned and ran, this time not looking back, not slowing down. The walls seemed to stretch as I sprinted for the door, but I didn't stop. I hit the handle. It opened. I flew out into the hallway just as the lights in the old wing flickered one last time, and went completely dark. And stayed that way. I called Josh. I was shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. He picked up on the second ring. She's out, I said. I think she made it. He didn't answer right away. Then he said, check your front porch. It was 2:03 a.m. I ran downstairs. Amanda was there. Sitting on the steps, shivering in an oversized hoodie, barefoot. She looked at me like she didn't know whether to cry or throw up. I just woke up in my backyard, she whispered. Like I'd been asleep. But I remembered everything. Every second. We didn't talk much after that. Her parents took her home. I told mine I had a nightmare and needed a mental health day. They didn't ask questions. Room 3B was permanently sealed the next week. I don't mean boarded up, I mean gone. The school quietly removed the door, drywalled over it, painted it like it never existed. You wouldn't even know the room was there unless you were looking for it. I kept the broken handset from the red phone. Just to prove to myself it happened. Sometimes, it vibrates at 1:17 a.m. But I don't answer it. Not anymore. Thanks to everyone who followed this. I don't know if I'll post again, but if you go to Roosevelt High, don't go looking for room 3B. Some echoes don't want to be forgotten. Some do. And some just want someone new to trade places with.